Hi guys, welcome. Today I want to look at the price action indicator, give you some small update, and answer a few questions I got from people about how to use it. So let's go to some of the questions asked. One of the questions I get a lot is if I use the indicator on a chart different than the ES, then it does not work. Why is this? Well, the indicator does work on any chart, but you need to set it up correctly. And with setting it up correctly, I mean use the correct settings. So let's find it. There is the price action indicator. And so I changed the default a bit. This was the default in the current version, and well, as you can see, if I edit, nothing happens, and that's because the stop loss in ticks is set to 20. Now, if you take just an average bar on, in this case, the NQ, you will see that this bar is 98 ticks. Let's take another one. This is 76 ticks. This is 39 ticks. So you can see these are huge bars on the NQ, and that's because the NQ has has more digits. So to get it to work, you need to set your max stop loss correctly. Now with the new version, I already increased it like 240. And then if you use that, then you can see they pop up right away. So yeah, make sure that depending on which assets you trade, whether it's NQ or CL or maybe stocks or other commodities, to use the correct stop loss. And well, for NQ and others, you also probably need to look at your target and your well, at least your target. I guess that would be very important. Another thing which can cause trades to appear is your positioning size. So let's suppose that you have now your max stop loss of 500 ticks, and for example, this trade is requiring a position sizing which is in this case more than the 2% per of your capital, then it won't appear. So I will go into this right away, but I would suggest to start on any new chart, just put it on contracts, and now you can see all those entries appearing. So these are all the entries, and as you can see, if I choose, well, I want to trade 2% of my account for on the NQ, and I press apply, then a lot of entries will disappear because they require more than 2% of my account. And yeah, that's why they are not shown. Now I'm using a simple sim account of the moment of $10,000. So even with a $10,000 account, yeah, you couldn't trade this with this position sizing settings. Now you can of course increase it. I mean, I can say I want to use 5% of my account, and then more entries will appear. Now whether that's wise or not, I leave that up to you, but note that both the max stop loss and your position sizing will filter out trades and hide them because they're too big. So for any new chart, put your stop loss pretty high, set the contracts to the position sizing to contracts, and then you see all the trades, all the entries I mean, and from there on you can fine-tune these settings a little bit more. Now on the position sizing, let's go back to the ES. and on the position sizing, because I get a lot of questions about those. So I'm going to try to explain it once more. We start with the risk per trade. So let's enable the risk and show it. And wait for it to update and zoom in a little bit. Okay. Now let's say we want to take this trade. We have a nice setup here, and it's a second entry short. And as you can see, this bar here, right here, is 7 ticks from low to high. So the bar itself is 7 ticks. This would mean that our stop loss would be 9 ticks, because our stop loss goes 1 tick above the signal bar, and our entry will be 1 tick below the signal bar. So that's 7 plus 2 is 9 ticks. So we need a stop loss of 9 ticks for this trade. Now you could set your position sizing to say 3 contracts, so contracts and fixed number of contracts 3, and then you will see that every entry will use 3 contracts, right? And note these number of contracts are also used in the statistics you see here. But that doesn't make sense to me to always use 3 contracts, because, for example, on this trade, our stop loss is 6 ticks. So this bar is 4 ticks, 1 tick above for the entry, 1 tick below for the stop. And why would we use 3 contracts here with a stop loss of 6 ticks? And why would we use 3 contracts here with 9 ticks? I mean, we having more risk here than on this trade. So it would be logical to use less contracts here and more contracts here, because I don't know about you, but I always want to risk the same amount of dollars per trade. So for example, I want to risk $100 for every trade and nothing more and nothing less. And that's what the other position sizing is doing. You can say, okay, I set it to percentage of capital, and let's say 2%. What it will do is it will look at your account. So in this case, my sim account is $10,000. 2% of that is $200, and then it will calculate the number of contracts you can trade. So you will see that on this trade with the 9 ticks, it says, well, you can trade 1 contract, because if we look at the let's see, from this would be your entry, that would be your stop, that's $112, 9 ticks. So yeah, 2% would be $200. So you cannot trade 2 contracts, you can only trade 1, because 2 contracts would require $225 and not 200. So again, we are using 2% of our $10,000 for every trade, which is $200, and that will mean we can trade 1 contract here. If we go back to this trade, we can see that it uses 2 contracts, because there's 6 ticks stop. So again, 6 ticks, that would be $75. So yeah, then we can use 2 contracts, because then we are on $150, and 150 is less than the 200 we want to use per trade. So we can trade 2 contracts here. So we are using the same amount of risk in dollars for the both trades, yeah, that's what the position sizing is doing. And of course, the fun part is that this trade will make you more money than this one. And again, these number of contracts are used in the statistics here. So yeah, that's about the position sizing. It's just to make sure we risk the same amount of money on every trade. If you don't care about that and you say, well, I'm just trading 5 contracts, no matter the stop loss, no matter if the stop loss is 5 ticks or 20 ticks, I'm always trading 5 contracts, then just set it to 5 and leave it on that. Now, another thing you can use, and that's for the scalps only, is the number of contracts you want to use as for the scalp and the number of contracts you want to use as a runner. So if we look here at this trade, for example, you can see our first scalp goes out with 4 ticks. So that's this one, that's 4 ticks, and our runner goes out right here. And the way it uses, the way it determines how many contracts to use for the scalp and for the runner is, well, first it starts by the number of contracts shown here. It's now fixed 5 because we set it up. We have 5 contracts fixed. So it starts with 5, and in this case it takes 75% off at the scalp at 4 ticks, and the other 25% of the contracts it leaves as a runner. So that's how this works. You can just specify how many percentage should be taken off as a scalp, and the rest will be a runner. Another thing to watch for if you are going to use this, for example on the micros, is the commissions. As you know, every trade you make, you pay commissions, and the commissions for the ES in NinjaTrader lifetime license are $3.98, but for the micros that's way too much. So if you're trading micros, the micro ES, and you want to have the correct statistics, then please make sure you set your commissions correct. You can find the commissions here in the NinjaTrader PDF. It lists all the commissions for every assets, and as you can see, the micros here are 46 cents, but that's one way, so you have to time it by 2. It's 92 cents per trade, and that's for the lifetime version. If you have a lease or you have the free Ninja version, then you need to use one of those depending on your NinjaTrader license. So that's the the commissions. And for example, if you now look at the well, I guess you can believe me, but if I put this to 1, you will see the numbers change. Just to show you that it's indeed used. Oh, the stats are not on. Okay, so and I have to enable these statistics, of course. Yeah. So we now have. Let's see the gross profit, 2,525. Net profit, 32.87. If I put it back, it will change a little bit. Okay, so that's are the commissions. Another thing we added was the, I think you already saw it, you can now turn on the statistics by a button here, just by clicking the stats on and on. The same with the contracts and the risk. Those can all be turned on right here. The key entry points we already had. I think I already mentioned that in the previous version. Note that the EMA now also is a key entry point. So if I enabled it, then you can see that it will use the EMA as key entry point. And the same with the 0 and 1s, you can also turn those on and off. Now, one of the things people noticed is that when you load the indicator on the chart, or you press F5 like I do now, is that it won't show all the entries in the past. I've changed that so that it now does show all the entries from the past, but it does mean it takes a little bit more time before the indicator shows everything, and that's because it has to calculate for each tick if a trade was how do you say it, if a trade appeared or not, and so the loading of the indicator will become a little bit slower, but it will give more accurate presentation of the past. Now note the live entries will always be always correct. In the old version they were correct, and in the new version also. So this doesn't change. The only thing it changes is when you press F5 or you load your chart, is that it now shows all the previous trades correctly, which it didn't do in the previous version. So that's about the previous trades in the past. Because it's now calculating every bar tick by tick to get the correct entries, this means it will be slower, and therefore you don't want to load too much data in here. If you put 90 days in here, it will take a long time because it has to load all those tick data for 90 days and go to all of them to calculate the entries. So don't use to do that, just limit it to a few days, or the least amount you can use. Another question I got was if you can show the ES like I do now, but trade the micros, and yes, that's possible. There is a trick for it. Notice I'm currently looking at the ES, but I can use the micro also. So I'm loading the micro. 958 for example, and again I can just use one day, I don't need so many days, and we can hide this one here, and now the chart looks the same, but now I can choose the micro here and trade the micro contracts instead of the ES. So if you have a small account, this might be very useful for you to show the real contract, the ES contract, but trade the micros. And notice if you do that the number of contracts you can trade now is also based on the micros. So the number of contracts shown here will be based on the data series with the lowest, how do you say, lowest cost, lowest value. In this case, it's the micros. So yeah, that way the number of contracts is always correct, because I don't think you want to show a MES contract and trade ES. That would be weird, but showing an ES contract and trading micros makes sense. So that's why it will use the lowest one, and you can see that because now you can see if we enable the price action and we set it back to percentage of capital. And show the contracts. You can see that before we could trade 1 and 2 contracts on these points, and now with the MES we can trade 17 or 26 contracts. So yeah, you can see it uses the MES to calculate the number of contracts you can trade. So that's how you can use the MES to trade and use the ES chart. And I guess that's about it for today. if you have any questions, if you have any questions left, then just let me know. I'll try to answer them. But I hope this answers the ones you might be having right now. Okay, thank you for your time and see you next time. Bye bye.